Namaste, welcome to Arthaniti, where we discuss money and money matters to help you in your investing decisions. Today, we are not going to analyze a stock. Today, we are going to have a look at President Trump's Liberation Day tariffs, which will kick in today. What sectors will burn? What sectors will boom? How should investors navigate this chaos? That is what we will discuss in today's video. President Trump has announced April 2nd as Liberation Day when he plans to implement reciprocal tariffs against trading partners in a Rose Garden ceremony. Now, despite earlier speculations that the tariffs would target only 10-15 countries, Trump has clarified that they will start with all the countries. Specific rates of these tariffs still remain undisclosed, but White House trade advisor Peter Navarro suggested that they could average around 20% with potentially which will potentially generate 600 billion revenue for the United States annually. In his recent statement, Trump indicated that these tariffs would be very kind, lower than what have been imposed on the United States till date. His new tariffs are a 25% levy on all imported cars, 20% on Chinese goods, 25% on steel and aluminium. But this is not one sided. Retaliation is exploding globally. European Union is slapping 50% tariff on US whiskey and motorcycles. Canada announced 25% tariffs on 30 billion worth of US goods from orange juices to peanut butter. China targeting US agriculture with a tariff of 15%. The uncertainty has triggered significant stock market volatility with S&P 500 falling nearly 6% since beginning of March. While Asian stock markets showed some recovery, tensions remain high as major economies prepare for their responses. Why is Trump doing this? What is the aim? Well, the goal is to shrink America's $1 trillion trade deficit. But is there going to be collateral damage? A 1.4 trillion global trade war that's already wiped off $4 trillion from the US stock markets. Markets are terrified of stagflation, rising prices, and stalled growth. While major countries in the world have announced retaliatory actions against Trump's tariff threats, what is India doing? Well, India is on a tightrope walk. It is playing both offensive as well as defensive. Now, to avoid Trump's crosshairs, India has cut the bourbon whiskey tariffs from 150 to 100%, removed the 6% digital ads tax to please US tech giants like Facebook and Google. It has offered to buy 25 billion worth of US energy up from 15 billion. Trump still calls India the tariff king, criticizing a 100% duty that India has levied on US farm goods. India's counter strategy? Well, rush a trade deal by September, which leverages its role as the China plus one manufacturing hub. The stakes? Well, 74 billion in exports to the US hang in balance. Based on analyst assessments, Trump tariffs could impact nearly 87% of the exports to the US. Now, this is valued at nearly $66 billion. Dollars. Some of the sectors which could face immediate heat. Firstly, electronics. Companies like Apple may face the heat. iPhones manufactured in India could become costlier, impacting their expansion plans in the country. Secondly, the gems and jewelry industry, where nearly $10 billion dollars worth of exports to the US are accounted for. So, any tariffs levied on this sector may result in its shift to countries like UAE and Oman. Textile, which accounts for nearly $9.6 billion dollars worth of exports to the US, any tariffs on this sector will countries like Bangladesh and Vietnam will be at an advantage. Why? Because they could undercut India's prices. Next, agriculture, shrimps, spices, dairy may face upwards of 25 in the range of 25 to 38% tariffs. Right, auto parts 25% tariffs on engines and transmissions could disrupt supply chains. Now, these are the various sectors which will have an immediate impact of Trump's tariffs. But the pharma sector, which accounts for nearly $12.7 billion worth of exports to the US, might dodge bullets. India supplies 47% of US generics, and low cost advantage that India has is hard to replace. Some sectors are set to thrive in this chaos. US based manufacturers, well, companies like Tata Motors, whose Jaguar and Land Rover have assembly units in the US, or steel companies like JSW, which have acquired US steel companies, are set to benefit because of these tariffs that Trump is planning to impose. Specialty chemicals also sees an opportunity open worth $10 billion as the world was looks at diversification away from China. What should investors do? What should they look out for? Firstly, watch for firms pivoting to ASEAN or EU markets and those benefiting from the Make in India production initiatives. Secondly, avoid export heavy small caps, especially in textile and electronics. Thirdly, bet on big pharma, whose US reliance is their strength. Track INR volatility. A weaker rupee could offset tariffs for exporters. Wait for government deal. A trade deal worth $500 billion with the US is in the works and is expected to be on track as soon as September 2025. Play the long game. India's domestic consumption, which accounts for nearly 80% of its GDP, insulates against global shocks. While tariff war is a storm, India's economy has lifeboats. Stay agile, diversify, and focus on sectors with pricing power and domestic demand. For now, keep your portfolio ready for turbulence, but don't miss the silver linings. Hit the like button if this has helped and subscribe for more such raw insights. Let's navigate towards financial freedom together. Until next time, stay safe and goodbye.